Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're doing another review of The Bad Batch. That's right, this is episode 6 now.
Yep.
What's this one?
Decommissioned.
Decommissioned, that's it, Decommissioned. So we're going to be going over the show spoiler-free at the beginning, and then we'll jump into spoilers and kind of break down all the kind of stuff that we've seen. If you're new to the channel, like the videos, subscribe, drop a comment below. We love to hear from you, and we'll jump right in. So, Decommissioned, episode 6. What are we thinking?
Still loving this Bad Batch series. Lots of surprises, lots of name drops for different locations. I love how they're changing locations. So I really like how this is going. This episode was still pretty good. It's not the main plot line that they're going to go through, but it's getting closer. It's answering some questions that we've seen with some characters. So I overall I really enjoyed it and have been enjoying this series.
Yeah. I would say it's what we call a bottle episode. Everything takes place in one location for the whole episode. There was some levity. We get to see a couple things kind of move forward, and we'll get to that. What we predicted may or may not happen. We get to see, like you see, some surprising characters, and then I guess the purpose of this was, it's not really team building, but I kind of feel like it was a little bit more to kind of test Omega's metal, maybe
that, and to show that the clones may be different than what everyone thinks of them as, and realizing that they're going to have to pick a side eventually. Yes, and that they're leaning towards one way than another. That this is even though it was easier as them being soldiers, they can't be soldiers anymore. They have to readjust their way of living, essentially.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the spoiler heavy section right now where we break down the episode. So if you haven't watched it, stop the video, watch the episode, and then come back. All right. So we take place back on the planet with Sid. Which I think is Ormentel. No, that was a separate. That's where Muchi was. So that's a separate planet, right? Yeah. So okay, we're on the planet where Sid is. I don't know what planet it is right now, but they're on the planet.
And in her establishment or casino or whatever it is. Her establishment.
And we see that Omega is practicing
with the energy bow.
Yes. So
I thought that was really cool because now she finally has a weapon. She has a
own identity.
Yeah. So now, like, no one else other than the Night Sisters, like you said, has ever welded.
And even theirs were different looking. This is a lot more technical based, right? Versus theirs was literally look like a bow and arrow with energy. This is like all mechanical and like operational and stuff.
That's right. Yeah. So I thought it was so cool to give her more of an identity, and then see how we saw her shoot a pistol with no problem or a rifle. But she's having issues with this bow because it's it's not just point and shoot, it's different mechanics, strength, and so it was nice to see that she's not just a pro at everything and it just comes natural, that she has to work on this.
Yeah, I agree. And we see that she hit the target 3 out of 12 times.
Yeah, and Echo was like, that's more luck than anything. Like anyone can pretty much do that.
Yeah, you need to practice more. And so Sid comes up and is like, by the way, it's about muscle and noodle arms, and so Sid grabs it and as far as like 1, 2, 3, like so quick,
right in the dead.
And I'm like, is Sid a fighter or what's going on? Like, we're getting a little bit more about like what's Sid, because Sid's Trandoshan, so she clearly the Trandoshans were raised as warriors, as hunters, and stuff like that. Yeah. So they're gonna have some sort of that in their blood or DNA.
Yeah, but as a child, she was probably trained in those ways. Like all of them were, as you said, they hunted Wookiees a lot, or slaves, and created slaves. So that was something that they grew up doing and living. So, and in the Clone Wars, it seems like she had to hold her own. Like she made alliances with the Jedi essentially, but I'm sure she had alliances with and partnerships with other people. Like we see the Hutts in the last episode and other things. So maybe some underworld connectivity as well there. But I'm intrigued to see more of her, and I think she'll be a mainstay and kind of like their handler going forward until a certain point. I think we're gonna try and see where she stands on the good, the bad. Is she more partners with the good and Jedi, or more underworld sneaky?
That's right.
What does she want these things for?
Yeah, and it's funny because Hunter had made a comment about, we didn't say we were going to take the mission. She's like, don't worry, I'll make the decision for you. You're going to go on the mission.
Like, it's beneficial for both of us because we both make money. I keep your secret. I protect you, especially with all this heat. It's your best option.
Yeah, and so the mission basically is they need to go get a T1 tactical droid, which is basically the droids that gave all the commands in the Clone Wars. Yeah. Those square-headed robots. And so there is, there's this planet where all the decommissioned droids are, and they're like melting them down and like reusing the scrap for other stuff and whatever. It's
and
basically
the planet is Chrlttvrn, right?
Corellia, yeah.
Corellia, which is where Han Solo,
which is a very famous planet.
Han Solo is from and grew up. So we see that in the Solo movie, him driving the speeder, trying to get his bow out, and doesn't quite make it. But yeah, it was great to see that location again in the series.
Absolutely. So they have to go in, break in, steal this tactical droid for them. It's worth a lot of money now because of the strategies that it has and the knowledge it has, because the clones are now essentially the first starting army of the Empire. How are we going to have tactics to take them down? How are we going to get like strategies? And so that the knowledge is worth a lot of money to certain people. We assume the rebellion.
Exactly. And those droids, the more they fought, the more they learned, and the more they were able to counteract different strategies. And since they've already learned and fought against the clones for so many years, they have all that database in there. So it will be definitely a benefit. But is it also a benefit for another faction or another group, right? Not just maybe the rebellion. Maybe someone else is trying to overthrow, or someone's not happy with the Emperor taking over. Could be that as well.
Could be Crimson Dawn.
Yes.
We don't know, right?
Especially with Darth Maul not liking the Emperor.
And we know she's already talking to Hutts. We were talking to Crime Syndicate, so it's very possible.
Yeah.
But we don't know who needs it. We just know that her client needs it. And so they send her on the mission. So they decide that they're going to go and do it. They decide that they're being told to do it.
They get voluntold to do it.
That's
pretty
it.
Much.
So they head off with Omega, and they head to the planet. And so they're coming up with strategies that they're going to land the plane, and they're going to go in, and they're going to, Wrecker's going to have to go up top, which is Crosshair's job, but he's not there anymore.
And he hates heights.
That's but they've got to split up. And and Tech does some searching and finds out that there's only one T1 tactical droid left in the whole facility. So they've got to find it. And so they're searching for it and all that kind of stuff. And so they split up. And he says it should be on the northeast or northwest side, and I think it's Omega that spots it.
Yeah, so Omega was told to keep lookout for the package. Hunter, Tech, and Echo went down to the computer to try and figure out where, and then
Wrecker
goes up to.
And so they're seen after taking out some people, and so the police droids, is that what they call them?
They're pretty much patrolling the whole facility. They're the ones in charge of security.
Yeah, and they start flooding in, so now they're in an all-out battle. And while that's happening, we see someone come down and swoop in and steal the head of a tactical droid.
Dressed up as one of the workers there.
That's right. And so we hear the voice of the person yell out, Rafa, meet me at something. And right away, I don't know if you picked up, but I picked up.
So Omega says, I see it, and then someone stole it, and then she goes to try and get it, but she runs into Rafa.
Oh, she runs into Rafa.
Yeah, and then she holds a bow out, and then that's when Rafa lifts her helmet up. So I didn't recognize her face right away because it's more her hair that I would recognize. But as soon as she spoke,
I was like, that's it.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
And then when they're like, Rafa, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Trace,
that's and so that's her sister calling for her. So I'm like, these are the sisters from season 7 in Clone Wars.
Yep.
In the arc where Ahsoka gets help from the mechanics and these two girls, and
that's right.
It has 4 episodes, I believe.
They're still doing their own missions, making money, but it looks like they're trying to do things. At least the way they were left was that Rafa seemed to be a lot more shady, and Ahsoka was trying to teach her to do what's right.
Yeah.
And Trace was in between because she wanted to, follow her sister, but at the same time wanted to be not do anything bad. And so I think at the end of there, Ahsoka's left a good impression on them to do what's right and not necessarily what's going to make you the most money.
Correct.
And so during this mission, they're off. They have their own buyer where they need this for, and so the clones and them keep exchanging,
pretty much
trying to get this droid. And so they're kind of fighting against each other while they're still fighting against the police droids. And so it gets to a point where they're going to have to work together. Trace ends up getting the droid head from Omega, but Omega gets pinned down.
Yes.
That's why she loses it by some droids. And I think even before that, while they're fighting, she loses her bow.
Yes.
It falls off.
So it dropped because
she was going to shoot. And she's like, you're looking shaky there.
Yeah, so she let it go. And then Rafa
kicks
knocked it out of her. And then it actually set off the alarm to bring they close down the facility and bring the extra police droids in.
Yeah, so Trace and Omega are chasing after each other, trying to get the droid. Rafa's fighting with Hunter.
Yeah.
They try to keep the police droids off.
Yeah, they end up teaming because Hunter shoots one and then she shoots. So they end up teaming up to get all the police droids off them.
Wrecker takes some heavy combat and I guess hits his head again.
Yeah, so he has to jump over because they have to reset the control panel.
That's right. So he swings across and
he hits his head, the same spot that he's hit his head multiple times, where the inhibitor chip is. And this time we see it actually affects him. He's groggy, and
You hear him say,
"Yeah,
good soldiers,
good soldiers," and we even hear Crosshair's voice in his head saying, "Good soldiers follow orders."
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, here we go, because this is what we guessed, and a lot of people guessed would happen. Is this chip starting to activate because he hit it, and now that kicked it into effect. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm waiting for the first appearance of a Jedi for it to really kick in, because he hasn't seen any Jedi since.
No, but he did seem to like say it a couple more times and then kind of like shrug it off. So we know that it's definitely, our prediction was that it was going to activate and they're going to have to fight against him and try to figure out a way to decommission it.
And I have a prediction on how, but we can go over it. So I'll save it till the end, because there's some stuff that happens later.
So Wrecker is there, and so they're fighting the cops. They decide to work together. This is the only way they're going to get out. Trace runs to the ship and then sees that Omega's calling for help and sees that she's pinned down. So she leaves the prize, the head there, and runs down to save Omega.
Yeah. And
it literally looks like in the nick of time, because Omega's about to get disintegrated.
That's right.
In this pit of the droid parts and lava, essentially. Yeah. And so she can't reach the arm of Trace, so she's like, grab something. So she grabs this heavy droid leg, and Hunter comes, and they both get her like in the nick of time. And then Rafa comes down,
drops down,
and saves Hunter from getting shot from another cop and stuff. And so they're all helping each other to get out of here. And so they all escape.
They're pinned down at one point. And
Wrecker drops down.
Yeah, so Tess, right? Is Rafa and Tess?
I thought it was Trace.
Trace, sorry. No, you're right. Trace. So Trace says, we can reprogram the head.
That's right. And
to control all the droids that are being, dismantled and deactivated.
That's right. And so Tech comes in.
Yeah, so she tries, but it's not enough juice, so Tech, pops something in, and he also pops a probe in to take control, but at the same time that they don't know, he's copying the data from the head onto there, so they can both keep it. Yeah. So it works out for both, but he didn't tell anyone that. So after that, they activate all the droids, and they command the droids through the head to combat only the police
security personnel.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool, because at one point I'm thinking, how are they going to get out of this? Like, all the doors are blocked by police droids, and like, this is, for the first time in a while, I thought, like, how are they going to get out of this? I know there's more episodes, so it's not like they close them off or anything, but I was intrigued to see how they were going to do it, and I thought it was very smart to use the tactical droid's head to control all the other droids and actually have them work with each other to, I know Echo, well, they made a, because Rafa says we need a diversion.
Yes.
No, test it, or anyways, one of them says it, and then the other repeats it, and then she says, "Is there an echo?" I thought this was funny humor, because he goes, "Yes,
like, yes,
I'm here." He's like, "What?" Yeah, it's like, because Echo's name. Yeah,
I thought Wrecker dropped down first to fight a little bit, and she's like, "I like him," and then they did the thing.
Possibly,
but either way, at some point, Wrecker drops down and starts fighting a bunch of the.
Yeah, he was tired of missing all the fun being up top.
Yeah, starts taking out guys, and so they all are heading towards the ship together to escape. And in doing so, at some point, and this is what I'm foggy, they lose the head. It blows up or it gets dropped. Or what happens to the head?
As they're running out, this is where Omega finds her weapon again, her bow.
Yes,
because it was dropped on the ground. So she picks that up, and they're running towards the hallway, and some of the police droids shoot the head out of the arm and destroy it, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and that's where we see Omega actually shooting her bow
and
properly and hitting,
no issues, and taking it out.
So she's finally gotten the hang of it, and she says, she just has to time the pullback or something like that. So she's got that. She's a quick learner, which is good, but it wasn't right away. She needed practice to do that. And I find that she learns things quicker under pressure. Yeah. Like the shooting at Crosshair and all that stuff, that was like not thinking and just doing it naturally. So she probably has some sort of, her ability is either, she can learn things or, feels the force of things or whatever it may be. She has that ability where she can pick things up, especially when she doesn't have to overthink it.
Yeah.
So it was great to see. They end up getting by because the droids helped them and onto the girl ships, essentially, and then they fly off at that point.
Yeah, and then they're having a conversation about they lost the head and this and that, and so they give her this data spike, and she's like, "What's this?" He goes, "Oh, we actually copied the data on the droid, whatever." And she's like, "Well, why are you giving it to me?"
Well, when they were flying off, one of them pats the R2 head, and that's R2-7A or something.
Yeah, it's a
that's
green
Ahsoka's
one. That's right.
Old droid.
Yeah.
Which we see. I went back and looked a little bit in the end of the Clone Wars, and Rex is actually, it got damaged, but he has it when he's doing the ship to get away. that droid is being brought up. So they obviously repaired it, either Ahsoka or Rex or whoever it may be, repaired it, and now the girls have it. And they do explain that, you know, they essentially they're upset because all that was for nothing, they said, and, you know, we're trying to get it for the Republic to help.
Yes. Yeah, or the rebellion.
Rebellion, sorry.
Yeah, we want to do what's good and this and that, and you don't want it to fall in the wrong hands. Yeah. And so they're having this conversation, and I guess Hunter realizes that, you know, they're doing it for a good cause, and that they need to choose a side, that they haven't chosen a side.
They don't know what Sid's going to use it for, or who's going to use it, and it could be for bad things, because it could be... You know,
yeah, and he's like, and she made a comment about clones, and he's like, not all clones were different. And then she says, well, everyone has to choose a side at some point. Yeah. Like, even if you don't want to be part of this war, it's like, we're not part of the war, we're not part of it. It's like, but you have to choose a side at some point. You're going to get to a point where you're either going to be for the Empire or against it, even inadvertently by your actions. And you have to decide, are you okay with what they're doing, or are you not okay? And you have to do something about it, right? So he gave the spike to her, saying it'll be better off with them. Yeah. And that was the right thing to do, despite, I'm sure Sid's going to give him an earful. Yeah. But, I thought that was really cool, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do what's right. We're gonna take a stand, and so that was really awesome. But we know that Wrecker definitely has something going on with his ship. Yes,
100%. That thing's activated, and the first sign of a Jedi, that's when it's gonna really kick in, I think, and that's when the other team members are either gonna have to try and subdue him, or battle against him, or try and deactivate it.
True. I think that text scanner thing's gonna be where they're gonna check it out and see that Wrecker's activated. Like, but he's never acted on it, so they're gonna probably keep an eye on him, and then something's gonna happen where they're gonna have to figure out how to shut it down.
And so at the end, you know, Rafa and her sister fly off, and they say, okay, let's contact them to the R2 unit.
Yes. And who are they talking to? There was this hologram. It looked like robes, didn't it?
It did look like robes. Okay. But so my prediction is Rex. So I think it's going to be Rex.
You think it's Rex? Okay.
Now, I know Rex is going to be in the series because in the trailer, I watched the trailer and they showed Rex in the newest trailer. Yeah. So he is going to be, and the planet that they landed on with him looks kind of like Calcas's planet, but that's neither here nor there. But I think because it's his droid that they're using, I think because he took it, he probably rebuilt it, and later on, so in Rebels as well, hopefully if close your eyes, or if you haven't seen Rebels or anything, don't listen for 30 seconds and come back on. But Ahsoka gives a droid head to Sabine and crew to try and find Rex.
But is it this one? Is it the green one?
I like the battle droid head.
Oh, the battle droid
head to find Rex. So I think, like, is this how he gets all the information and then pops it into a battle droid that they get to activate the information that they got from that? Yeah. So that's kind of my theory, that it could be Rex communicating with them to try and get some information for the rebellion and, you know, go that way. But it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I thought it was, at one point, was it a hint at Obi-Wan? Because, again, his show takes place during this time. He has to have robes. He's in hiding. And Ahsoka may or may not know where he is, due to some contact, due to some reach out to the Force. You know, they were friends and stuff like that. Even though Anakin was her mentor and essentially like her teacher, she still had a connection to Obi-Wan to a certain point. And so I would kind of be odd that she wouldn't have any idea that he was alive.
True.
So I kind of wonder if maybe they bumped into each other at some point, and so maybe she's like, oh, if you're into trouble, contact this person. I don't know.
Yeah. And my safe bet is Bail Organa. Like
that's another option that could be, because robes,
the robes and stuff like that. So
that would make sense.
That would be like my safety thing, because he's like the start of it, and he wants to kind of gather people around.
Yeah, because I thought Saw Gerrera, but we've already seen him in the show, so it wouldn't be a surprise. So it wouldn't be Saw Gerrera. Yeah, but the cause and the rebellion and all that stuff would make sense. Leia's too young and looks too young for that to be them. Yeah, so it would make sense that Bail Organa is a definitely strong possibility. I think that's so those
would be my two guesses. It's probably going to be more Bail, and then Rex will just come because I think he knows the Bad Batch anyways. Yeah, because he worked with them. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be a surprise. So, I don't know. Or it could be someone in totally left field where maybe they're not good. Maybe they are working for Darth Maul or the Crimson, and they're just saying,
or something. Yeah,
they're saying it's for, or maybe he's tricking them, because the girls are kind of naive. We saw in season 7 that, you know, they do believe things that people say sometimes, but. you know, it could be anything at this point. But I'm really intrigued. They left it off at a good cliffhanger for this episode.
They did, yes.
And
I went really ramping up because this is episode 6. We have another 7-8 episodes left, so we're almost at that midway point. So I think they really want to start getting things. Yeah. Okay, after that midway point, we're not gonna have a lot of these bottle episodes. We're gonna try to get to where we're going.
Yeah, because they're gonna have a few arcs and storylines that they kind of have to, you know. What's Sid all about? How are they going to separate her? Are they going to have to battle her? Or is she going to sell them out?
Is she going to be connected to the rest of the Bounty Hunter Guild at some point? Is she connected to Grief Karga? Is that where they're going to go with that? Because she talked about giving them missions. She's getting missions that's very similar to Bounty Hunters and Mercenaries.
Fennec Shen, like what we're going to...
There's a connection there.
We're going to see her as well. Like, so do we see them meet up again? Or maybe they're working together? You know, Rex is going to be one. Crosshair, we need to find out about him, which way they're going to go. Omega, what's her ability. So there's lots of things that they have to get into, and now's the time to start opening those up, because you can't jam them all into 1 or 2 episodes. They're going to have to spread it out and answer the questions. Obviously, leave the biggest ones to the end. Probably Crosshair and Omega's abilities, maybe the last 2 episodes to end it off. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who that person is and how it changes the arc, or where they're going to go, or what they're going to do with
Do you think there's any possibility that they develop this tool that's going to deactivate the chip, but you're going to have to get close to Crosshair? And all of them, because he knows how they fight and knows how they are, they're not going to be able to do it. So Omega's going to have to sneakily get close to do it, and she's somehow going to have to sacrifice her life to save him. Like, he kills her, but she deactivates the chip, and then he's free. And it was her life that brings it. Like, I kind of see that could be some way to do it.
They could definitely do that.
Like, all their female characters that they've been pushing, strong female leads, have all been there for a reason. They want to get more girls in Star Wars. We all like the strong female leads.
Yeah, but one of our favorite characters is Ahsoka.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that a strong female lead can't die either. No. Like, they're not invulnerable. And it would make a really strong statement if it was like, they sacrifice themselves for the greater good to bring the team back together. That was her role. Of course, it affects them deeply. And Crosshair kind of feels like, oh, I owe everything to her. So there could be some strong point to it. So I could see them doing that. But at the same time, this is a kid's show. And if everyone is clinging to Omega and loving this brand new character, really they don't want to kill her off.
Like, she's the Baby Yoda of, like, she's the Grogu of this series, essentially. She's everyone loves her. She's innocent. She's young. She's, you know, a team player. She's there's no real downside to her.
And didn't Rafa and Thing invite her to, like, join them at one point? And she's like, oh, I got my own crew, or I'm part of my own
I think
thing.
She invited them to come visit, and they're like, isn't that part really seedy? She's like, yeah, super seedy. It's great. Like,
like, we're all like
she's loving
she's loving it. And it's like, oh, maybe they'll branch off and she'll join them at some point. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't want to see her getting killed. I think it could be a very strong plot device for, like, you know, especially, like, all this attachment, the clones learning to be other than soldiers, being people, being human, being, like, emotions, and figuring out how to love something and how to care for something, and, like, living a life that's outside of just following orders. And for them to lose this person that's kind of brought them all together and kind of helped them along and bring the person, that part of the group that they're missing, would be a really strong point. I think it could be really poignant, but at the same time, it's like, it would also suck. So I don't know.
I don't know. It would be hard for them to do that, I think. It would make a statement and would make the ending really, really strong. But I don't know how far Disney and Lucasfilm want to go in that direction for a kid's cartoon.
Like, I don't think they'd ever kill off Grogu, but then you'd have to explain why he wasn't there part of the later movies. So something's got to happen to him.
Yeah.
He just goes into hiding. We never hear from him again. And then, oh, okay, now episode 10, 11, 12, Grogu's back. Like, I don't understand, like, if they're not going to kill him off, they really need to explain why he wasn't part of this massive scale.
Unless they change the universe and do some sort of time travel like they did in Rebels, where they can kind of rewrite some...
They hide him somewhere or something. And we'll have to see. Or maybe they find the planet, and the planet is so secretive that no one wants to say where he's from, and the only person that knows, Bad Batch or someone, they die or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it in Rogue One, so, I mean, they could kill off these characters that we love at some point.
For sure. It would be very interesting. But with this series, they have the green light to pretty much, you know, give past, present, and future shows a highlight of some sort. You know, give background to the characters, reintroduce characters that were introduced in, you know, Clone Wars or Rebels or wherever it was, different movies, and bring them into this and show them, you know, before or after their original role. Mm-hmm. So I love the flexibility that they have with this show, and like I said, every episode so far they've kind of reintroduced a character of some sort, you know, whether it's Kanan or the two sisters.
They had a surprise.
There's always someone there that adds to
Tarkin in the second
different
episode,
movie or a different comic or some part of the universe kind of thing. So it's very interesting.
It is, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some of them come back again. Like we were expecting Fennec Shan to make an appearance again, and we're going to expect to see. I don't expect to see Kanan, but I expect to see some other characters that we might get introduced that might pop up again down the road. It's very plausible. Maybe that clone that they saved the family, they got away, and then they bump into them again, and something happened. Maybe he kills his family, he needs help, so he wants to join them. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could happen, but I'm really liking where they're going. I agree with you, and I think that it's a shame that some people will just watch the movies and think that this is kid stuff. It doesn't matter, but this is truly canon. This really adds to the whole mythos of Star Wars, and I feel like you're doing injustice by not watching these shows. Definitely. These shows are like, especially because it's run by Filoni. It's like solid material. There's nothing to be disappointed about. So,
and he's very smart at knowing, this happened in the past, so I can't. Like, he knows the chronological order and what happens and what character can be introduced and what can't be said because it wouldn't make sense for the continuity. So it's very smartly written and very well done.
And I feel like maybe they give him the green light to do a new show. And he says, okay, but before I do that new show, I want to finish Clone Wars and springboard into the Bad Batch. And probably they said, okay, we'll let you finish that up. And that's why he made sure to introduce them in their own arc. And then introduce these characters thinking like, I'm going to have these characters, blah, blah, blah. Let's introduce them here. And
I was kind of wondering for season 7 why these girls were introduced.
But clearly he has some bigger picture for them in this new show. And instead of just introducing them with the Bad Batch, just running into these random girls, it'd be cool for them to have connected to Ahsoka. Ahsoka's still out there doing her thing. It all comes together. And it's like, again, he has this vision. And because it's all Filoni's hands are on everything is done with purpose. And so when you see something on a show, like that guy in Mandalorian season 2, Cobb Vanth, whatever his name is, Vance. He might show up in an animated show.
That's true.
We might see him pop up, and it's like,
saw him in one episode, and that was it with the Boba Fett's armor, but that was it. And he's a pretty big actor, so
he could voice an animated character and come up. He might show up in Kenobi show because he is on Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
That would make sense. It actually could be a very strong possibility. Kenobi, we'll bring him in, and he tells him, you need to run this village, you need to be whatever. There's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, Kenobi can help him out with different things, maybe.
But he'd be a lot younger. Because Kenobi show is before. But I mean, but still, characters
he could still be in there, for sure.
So, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and it's exciting to kind of see where we go, but I don't know. Any last predictions or?
No, so in my head, I think Rex is going to help them with the chip.
Okay.
He's going to tell them that he experienced it. His partner Fives, one of his crewmates Fives was
maybe telling him to get in contact with Ahsoka because Ahsoka helped him because he was out when they removed it. Yeah. So Ahsoka did it.
But he has a scar, so he knows the general location.
Correct.
And what happened.
But how did they remove it? Ahsoka used medical droids and the Force. Didn't she also use the Force?
So to find it, when they're scanning, she was saying one with the Force is one with me, and that's what triggered it. And then the droid, the medical droid,
pinpointed it.
And took it out.
Either she shared the information, or he might say, I know where it is, but I don't know how to get it out. And text like, I can figure that out.
We need to find this facility.
They bring Ahsoka in the show because they can bring her in every show because it sells. You know?
For sure. And so I think he's going to be really helpful with explain what's happening with the clones because they're not really sure about the chip. Yeah. Because Omega keeps saying, this is what happens. This is what the chip's all about. And Tech's like, this makes sense on how it can control them. But Rex has lived it and seen it and had it in him and taken it out and everything like that. So
it's like, you need to take this out because it's not good for you. And so they're going to figure it out.
Yeah. And then maybe he'll help them figure out a way to get Crosshair, or maybe because he doesn't know, Crosshair might not know, he might be able to pretend that he's under Order 66 orders. Oh no, he's wanted though.
So do you think that each of the clones at some point will have their chips activated by some means? Like we had Wreckers go now by accident. Yeah. Could it be like while they're trying to take it out, a spark happens and then Tex goes off, or like Hunter gets affected? Like, do you think that at some point during the season, each one's going to have it go on and they're going to have to deal with that?
I don't.
Or do you think this will be it? It'll be Wrecker.
I think it'll be Wrecker. They already saw Crosshair turn. The chip take control
this will
of him.
Make them understand that it's not his fault. We got to save him.
Yeah. That might be the catalyst to be like, okay, we have to go and save our crewmate because he's part of our team. We don't leave anyone behind. They always say that we never leave a team member behind, and they're always disappointed and miss him. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll come up with a plan to bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, well, there you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on episode 6, Decommissioned. But let us know what you thought. Drop a comment below. Let us know if you missed any glaring Easter eggs or awesome special missions. Like the video, click that subscribe button. And as always, friends, stay nerdy.